Hey everyone, Jason from Trading Games, and today we are going to repair an Atari 5200 controller. What generally goes wrong on these things is the flex circuit inside goes bad. This is an original flex circuit out of one I repaired earlier today, and these are brand new revision 9 flex circuits. Now let me get a close-up view of this flex circuit that we took out. I'll show you what commonly goes wrong. So this is the fire buttons on the left-hand side. As you can see, it's going to focus here slowly. The circuit ends up ripping from pressing the red buttons on the side, and then you can see it sticking up here. This is where the start, pause, and reset button is. Let me get that in focus. There it is. See, there's a tore part right there, and that's why these don't work. Typically your number pad part stays fine, and this is a brand new one. Now they did the upgrade on these. I'm not sure revision 9 what they did to make these better, but these tend to be what Atari service centers use to repair all these controllers. So I'm going to set the camera down and I'm going to show you how to take apart this controller the way I prefer to do it, the order I like to do it, and so we don't damage the controller, and to make it easy to reassemble. And hopefully if we don't have any problems, we can get this thing put back together. But these things can be really fussy getting all this aligned. But see how this does a nice, soft, even circle without any hiccups? That's our goal when we reassemble this thing. These are the tools you're going to need to do this repair. Very simple tools. I like to use a Phillips screwdriver that's powered. You're going to need a small flathead screwdriver, and this is going to help remove this bezel off the start, pause, and reset buttons. I'll show you what the big flathead screwdriver does inside. And then, since I'm not replacing any of these buttons or any of these buttons, we're just going to clean the carbon dots with just this little bit of standard alcohol and a Q-tip. And I'll show you that close up when we get inside. Alright, let's start by taking the 3 screws out of the back of the controller. Now what I like to do is, I like to make sure the joystick on this one is working properly. I like to have it centered, exactly center. And with the 3 screws out, I'm not going to remove this. But this part of the flex circuit is pressure fitted in here. So we're not worrying about salvaging the ones in there. So as we take this bezel out, lift this up, we're going to have to pull this out. Now the reason I don't like taking this off is, you'd have to get in here and pry it, and sometimes it pops right out, but it usually will end up breaking the plastic on the controller or the bezel, or leaving a big chunk out of the plastic. Alright, so now with this centered, this just simply pops apart. And that part came out real easy that time. Alright, now the reason I have that centered, now it's going to move around, is that is going to put these 2 potentiometers right here, one in exactly down and one in exactly 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And also note how this is all tucked up underneath here. Okay. So you're going to take this part off and you're going to check the back. You can clean those carbon dots off while you're in it. You're going to take the 2 fire buttons off. Those are the carbon dots on the back side. We're going to be cleaning those. And you can examine it while it's apart. This one was being fussy. The start button wasn't working very well without pushing very hard. Alright, so now for the big flathead screwdriver. What you're going to do is, the piece underneath this has 3 little pins. So you're going to pop, pop, and pop, and I'll remove that up. Okay? And that's what the flex circuit's plugged, sits on. Now, these have a little double-sided tape that's on there from the 80s. So just peeling it off is all you need to do on that. Likewise on this side. And then this just plugs into the flex circuit. But this part that's folded up underneath here, we're going to take note of that for later on, because that's the part that's the most complicated part. Alright. Now there'll be a little double-sided tape on the back side of this up here. Don't wipe that off. That stickiness actually helps. So here is our revision 7 flex circuit that we're taking out. Now this one is actually in pretty good shape, but it was being fussy. You can see how it's bent here at a funny angle, and that's what was making it stop working properly. Unlike this one I did earlier that I pulled out that was all fried and every single trace was broken. So let's get a new circuit out. All right, so if you end up buying one of these on eBay or anything like that, they're going to come flat. So what you want to do is you want to put a nice round fold in it here. So this is down, at a 90-degree angle. You don't have to sit there and press it and press it and press it because you don't want to break these traces. You don't have to worry about this one, but you do have to get this fold for this part. So you want to get this as close as you can down here out of the way, because this part will be tucked under. Okay, and then you need to put a little roundness in that also. All right, now for the reassemble part. There's two little dots, little tabs sticking up here, and there are corresponding holes on this. So before you press it down to that leftover tape residue, those just popped right through. You want to stick it down. Now, the next thing that you want to do is this part is going to be folded up under like this. And you want to plug in this circuit, and it goes in real easy. But this part right here, and having this part up underneath here is the important part. Now you can see these three little tabs that we used the big flathead for, and how they correspond to these holes down here. So now, kind of doing this on camera at the same time is a little more complicated. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Sometimes these that one is broken off. So that happens, I mean, just because of age. 2 is fine. That little piece just fell off all the way. I'm going to making sure it's out of the way. All right. So yeah, like I said, camera can make this a lot more fussy. Okay, got that down. Got that down there. Now I'm going to take these, and they fell right into place. So now these have to run up the sides. They have a little notch in them also, and there's another corresponding pin with how far they go down. And this side didn't have any tape residue left over, but it's going to be okay. It'll stay where we need it. So getting the white piece that the flex circuit plugged into, and that's the most important thing. And then these holes that you see here are where the screws come through and attach to the top. So you want to make sure that that folded up part is up underneath this. I hope that's clear. All right, so now I'm going to put this down for a second. We're going to get the Q-tip. A little alcohol on the Q-tip, and we're just going to clean the carbon dots up. Sometimes they get a little corrosion, I guess you can call that, or residue built up on them. Okay. Now let me show you. We got to take this bezel off the controller here. And I found the best way to do it is from the back side. You can just go in, and it should go flying. There, it popped off real easy. And the reason we do this is because the ribbon wire is going to come up through here and then lay down. So the reason we waited to do this step was until we had our Q-tip and alcohol ready. I'm going to just clean these carbon dots off also. These aren't in too bad a shape. I'm not getting too much black residue off them. I'm going to set this down on the side. This keypad, this one's pretty clean. All right, now that the fire buttons are cleaned, they're going to slide down in here. That's pretty straightforward how they go in. Like I said, we're going to leave this straight up and down. All right, we need to get our cord positioned back in its spot, or it won't pinch together properly. There it goes. This part should be flush. I got one kind of rogue wire out here. I'll tuck it down with that tool. All right, we are all buttoned up. There is also 2 holes right underneath that 6 there that correspond with those 2 little pins. They don't really hold it in place, but the way we assemble this is we're going to drop it straight on. Now, before we snap the top back on, we need to make sure that this pin is at this position and this pin is straight down. So 6 and 9 o'clock. Okay. And then we're going to just snap this top down over this here. Now, let's take this, fish this up into its corresponding spot. All right, so this is a little crooked here. We want this to be straight up and down. So it snaps, and now we got a good circle motion here. It's what we wanted. All right, let's get the screws in it here. I would always do these with a hand screwdriver. I wouldn't use a power drill unless you've done it a bunch of times. This old plastic, if you get too hard, it'll just snap and break. Having a drill that's almost dead actually keeps that from happening. All right, we're gonna check the status of this. We're good. Nice smooth motion. So now we've already done cleaned our dots on this. We're going to hold this down. I like to just slowly go across here. Snap. It's all put back together. Now it's just a matter of testing it out. All right, now that the controller's put back together, I like using missile command. We got a nice, I mean, as good as you can get on a 5200 controller circle here. We can hit the start button. Now, only the bottom fire buttons work on a lot of games, but you just barely have to push it now. And that tests both fire buttons, and I got a good range of motion. And let's hit pause. Pause works. Reset. We're all good. Nice rebuilt controller. Well, thanks for watching the video. Repairing these 5200 controllers can be pretty frustrating, especially when you don't end up getting these aligned back in the right position. Just remember the position of those potentiometers in there when you're going to reassemble it. It makes it a lot easier dropping it straight on. And that is usually the most frustrating part, and tucking that ribbon wire up underneath. Now, I don't have any more of these Revision 9 flex circuits, but you know, they're around on eBay, and some other places like Best Electronics may have these still. So thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And we're always going to be making new content, so hit the notification button and we'll bring more videos in the future. Thanks for watching.